All right, thank you for coming out to rock the campus tonight. We're going to get started tonight with a production workshop, a music production workshop led by Soleternity. Very accomplished man here from Rockford, Illinois. Some notable things he's done: produced the movie The High and Mighty with his brother over here, Nick. Yeah, very good movie. Check that out. Is it at McGillFilms.com?
McGill Original Film.
McGillOriginalFilms.com. The High and Mighty, very dope film. He's also done some production for Tech 9, Chris Calico, Cujo Goody, Bone Crusher. You know, very accomplished dude. So take in all he has to offer. Again, thank you for being here.
I don't even need a mic. All right, everybody. If you're in the back, do me a favor, move in, please.
Come on now.
Humble me. Move in, bring it in a little bit. We're gonna feel like the Rockford hip hop family in here, something like that. All right, and plus my text is kind of small on my PowerPoint, and I've got a lot of stats and a lot of good information for you on there. All right, thank you for obliging that request. So, first of all, welcome. Thanks to Justin, DJ, and Rockford Hip Hop Congress. As a matter of fact, let's give them a round of applause real quick for what they do. Yeah. I'm not going to beat around the bush. Today I'm going to deliver some harsh realities. And that might not have been what you were expecting coming into this, but I'm looking forward to delivering them. Part of the reason why is because I want to tear down illusions. And I want to get to the truth about some things in the music business, especially as it pertains to finance and in making your way in the business. So today I'm going to analyze being a hip-hop music producer. I'm going to work from the big picture to the small picture. So first I'm going to start by discussing the music business. Then I'll narrow in on the music producer's role in the music business. And finally, I'm going to focus on how to succeed as a music producer. But you can take this information, you can apply it to your craft and whatever it is that you do in terms of being a professional in the industry. And then finally, with whatever time we have remaining, we'll have a question and answer segment. So, a little bit about me. This is my favorite slide in the PowerPoint. I first began earning income as a music producer at the age of 14. I've earned a living in the music business since 17. I was among the first hip-hop producers to gain 1 million downloads on mp3.com. I produced for 24 gold, platinum, and Grammy-nominated artists. And as my friend Justin alluded to, I produced Technicians most recently on Tech 9's album, which has sold over 250,000 copies to date. So I've been doing this for a little while. I've definitely failed way more times than I've succeeded, and that's a really important part of this business and a lesson that gets learned. But first I have to address a problem before I get into what the music business is. And this is a problem that we have in interaction as human beings every day. That's the problem of language. So let's get on the same page. There's something called an ambiguity of terms. You might be talking about something that means one thing, and I think it means something completely different. So let's make sure we're referring to the same thing as we start here. Let's say you and I are having a conversation, and you start talking about the Milky Way. And you're talking about the galaxy, which contains our solar system, and that's academic, and that's great. But I'm not as smart as you are, so when you say Milky Way, I'm thinking, I'm hungry. Part one. Now that we know we're talking about the proper terminology, let's define what the music business is. And I'm going to do that by comparing it to the TV business. Here's a quote from Hunter S. Thompson, an amazing journalist. He said, "The TV business is uglier than most things. It is normally perceived as some kind of cruel and shallow money trench, along plastic hallways where thieves and pimps run free and good men die like dogs for no good reason." Does that sound good?
Yeah.
He's in the film business, so he would say that. You're one of those pimps. Music business. The internet. We love the internet. I'm going to talk a lot about the internet today. The internet has taken Mr. Thompson's quote and contorted it a little bit to suit the music business. So let's see what the internet has reflected about this quote. The music business is a cruel and shallow money trench, a long plastic hallway where thieves and pimps run free and good men die like dogs. There's also a negative side. Think about that. Credit that to the internets. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's the author there. Ethically speaking, the music business is often seen as the bottom of the barrel of the entertainment business. Ethically speaking, the entertainment business is often seen as the bottom of the barrel of the industry in general. So basically speaking, we're at the bottom of the barrel of the bottom of the barrel. Just another day in the music business. I like to provide a little bit of evidence for my claims. Here's one of them. This is from April 10th. Universal Music Group, West Coast office, alleged to be drug hotspot. Quotes from the article. The suing security guard says she repeatedly objected to superiors, but the building's management turned a blind eye, adopting an anything-goes philosophy. She says she personally witnessed drug use or drug paraphernalia by Macy Gray, guests of Jamie Foxx, MC Ren, rapper T.I.'s entourage, and heard about drug use when Adam Levine visited. She also alleges that Universal Music executives participated in the raucous behavior. Here's another quote. It's Adam Levine, you know, from Maroon 5. He can do whatever he wants. If he wants to come to the lobby and do a line of cocaine on the floor, it's okay. Ethics in the music business. These are allegations, okay? They may very well be false. I don't know if they're true or not. I've seen some things in my day, though. Furthermore, they are not likely representative of everyone in the music business. What I'm saying is beware that the music industry's norms are counter to those of mainstream America. My personal view is socially libertarian. I generally feel that we don't need laws against consenting adults using drugs, but that's neither here nor there. I'm just advising you to know what you're in for. All right, let's get a little technical first. The music business is the companies and the individuals that make money in relation to the creation and the distribution of music. So you've got musicians who compose and perform music. You've got music publishers, record labels, stores, performing rights organizations. Producers, studios, engineers. These are the people who create and distribute the music. You've got booking agents, promoters, venues, roadies, groupies. These are the people who perform in the live music scene. We've got managers, lawyers, and drug dealers. They assist musicians with their music careers. The last one's a joke. Satellite, internet, and broadcast radio. These are the people who transmit music to the world. And then you've got the journalists, the educators, the musical instrument manufacturers. It's a big pie. Here's a flow chart. Don't even try to comprehend it. I couldn't comprehend it if I wanted to. It's just a PowerPoint presentation in the year 2013, so you have to have a flow chart, I feel like. Right here, we've got producer. I want to point this out to you because amidst all these revenue streams, producer is just a tiny little box right here. It's a testament to how small and insignificant the producer is in the grand scheme of things. That's important. The music business as we know it emerged in the mid-20th century. That's when records overtook sheet music. Here's some key facts that I want you to kind of keep in the back of your mind as we go forward. Most of the market is controlled by three majors: Universal, Sony, and Warner. Most of the live music market is controlled by Live Nation. Clear Channel is the largest owner of radio stations in the US, and the largest music retailer is iTunes Music Store. Most of us probably have an idea of these things, but there's really essentially 6 major conglomerates that control our industry.
Illuminati.
I don't know about all that, but sociological perspectives of the music business. The music business is a unique subculture. The music business has norms that are very different from mainstream America. The music business contains a large underground economy. I like to think of the music business as an enormous mansion, an enormous old mansion. When you first walk into the mansion, the main living room is extremely beautiful and clean. It looks luxurious, something like this. It's beautiful, right? But the music business is actually a creepy old mansion. If you venture down one of its many hallways, there's nothing but dark corners, cobwebs, and ghosts. And you can't see that, but it's a creepy hallway with dark corners, cobwebs, and ghosts. The music business is built on an old foundation and is crumbling. This outdated foundation needs restructuring. So let's talk a little bit about this foundation, because now we're really getting into the nuts and bolts of where the music producer fits into this equation. Copyrights, more specifically copyright law. It holds up the current music business paradigm. Basically, the US government grants you the exclusive ownership of a piece of music for a limited period of time, which is usually about 70 years after the author's death. Your ownership rights include reproducing your music, distributing your music, publicly performing your music, and digitally transmitting your music. So once the US government recognizes that you own the copyright to your music, it becomes illegal for someone to infringe your ownership rights. If someone wants to use your music, you may grant them that right through a contract. Therefore, you want to copyright your music. That's how you play within the rules that are established right now. You can do so from this link. It's copyright.gov/eco. All you need to do is put in a Google search, copyright your music with US government. You'll be able to get to it. So then we have performing rights organizations and royalty collecting agencies. There's three majors, ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC. They collect royalties owed to you based on the performance of your copyrighted materials. So pick one that's right for you and register your songs. The foundation is changing, and this is where it gets interesting. This is where a lot of us are actually ahead of the music business and the executives in the music business. The internet is here. The music business has struggled to adapt to digital file sharing at its own peril. There are strong vested interests that seek to severely penalize file sharing. But you have to ask yourself the question, why? Why is it this way? Copyright infringement. Oh, what lovely words. The Copyright Act permits fines of up to $150,000 per each illegally downloaded song. I'm just going to let that sink in. The first person prosecuted for illegally downloading music was Ms. Jamie Thomas Rassett of Minnesota in 2005. She was found guilty of illegally downloading 24 songs. After many appeals, the court ordered her to pay a fine of $220,000. Now get this, this amount is actually a reduction. When she was first found guilty, the jury ordered her, a jury of her peers, ordered her to pay $1.9 million for illegally downloading 24 songs. Each, by the way, priced at 99 cents on the market. U.S. copyright law states that the purpose of copyrights is to promote the progress of science and arts by securing for limited times to authors and inventors the exclusive right to their respective writings and discoveries. Therefore, the U.S. government asserts that penalizing people like Ms. Thomas Rassett is for the greater good. See? The music business is dying because of file sharing, and how do we know this? Because the government is suing the pants off of people. And so what do? They provide you with figures. For example, we often get inundated with a figure like the one I'm about to show you. Worldwide recorded music revenues in millions of dollars from 1998 to 2010. Oh Lord, look at the drop-off. As soon as we get to the year 2004, right when digital file sharing started to permeate the market and take over, we see this horrible downward trend and the music industry is shrinking. Oh no. These type of charts only show recorded music revenues. Remember how we talked about the ambiguity of terms a little bit ago? What does that really mean, recorded music revenues? That's a vague term. It could apply to many things. Well, indeed, recorded music revenues have gone down. But charts like this are designed specifically to obfuscate the full story. Here's another chart. Worldwide total music industry revenues for the same time period in millions of dollars. Pay attention to that top bar because that's the one that matters. That is the total music industry revenues from the same time period. Now, if you look, it's not hard to tell that the direction of this line is steady growth. We have, when we break down the industry to its revenue streams, different patterns of growth and shrinkage when it comes to recorded music. That's the chart that's going down. But when it comes to internet, when it comes to concerts, especially concerts, we see that the trend of growth is upward, just like the trend of growth from total revenues. So what has happened, the music business continues to grow, revenues have merely changed form. That's crucial. That's information that doesn't get disseminated to us, and especially as I narrow in the focus now to music producers, we have to understand what this means towards our income streams and not be sold a false bill of goods about where the music business stands. No good deed goes unpunished. Like I said, I like to provide evidence for what I say. That was Exhibit A, now here goes Exhibit B. Study finds illegal downloading doesn't harm the music industry. Last month, the European Commission's Joint Research Center found that illegal downloading does not hurt the music business. After examining the browsing habits of more than 16,000 Europeans, the research showed that there is actually a positive link between online piracy and visits to legal music stores. So, rather than negatively impacting digital revenues, researchers found that music sales can actually benefit from piracy. But if you don't believe me, if you don't believe the stats, if you don't want to believe anything that I put forth, then believe this guy, Steve Albini. He's a legendary Chicago producer. He's known for constantly being at the forefront of the business and business techniques. And I like his quote. I think it sums things up nicely. Steve says, "I reject the term piracy. It's people listening to music and sharing it with other people, and it's good for musicians because it widens the audience for music." All right, the evolution of the music business. So this leads us to a question, right? When music existed as a physical good, it held a unique kind of value. The only way to get music was in your hands. It had to be physical, it had to be on a CD, it had to be on vinyl, whatever. So there was an unavoidable cost for the duplication and distribution of music. It cost money to distribute it. Nowadays, music duplication and music distribution are virtually free through the internet. So for all practical purposes, a file of recorded music is a free commodity. But if music is a free commodity, that begs a question. How is it that someone like Tech9, for example, is able to sell over 250,000 copies of his music? Why doesn't everyone just download it? Well, take a look at this. It's hard to see, so I'm going to have to read it for you. This was the promotional poster that was for Tech9's All Sixes and Sevens tour. He went to 65 shows in 65 different cities in 3 months, and part of it was a $125 VIP package. What does this $125 include? A VIP pendant, a necktie, a shirt, a metal picture frame, a keychain, a photo album, a spiral notebook, a stencil, snake and bat pendant, Tech9 flag, 10-year dog tag, large photo book, small photo book, real snake and bat poster, big Scoob CD, 2 sheets of stickers, big Scoob poster, air freshener, shoelaces, etc., etc. What can we learn from a guy like Tech9? Well, he's actually laid out the blueprint for how to adjust. He doesn't just sell music, he sells an experience. The most important part on that flyer, which I neglected to mention until now, is that he's selling a VIP experience where fans can come and interact with him for 1 hour. So you get all those things I just enumerated, plus you get to kick it with Tech9. He makes the effort to interact with his fans. In return, even though fans could download his music, they opt to buy it. Think about it. If you're a fan of Tech9, wouldn't you feel good knowing that you've contributed to his business? Maybe. But then again, fans conceptualize themselves as investors in Tech9's business model rather than for its consumers. They put in money, they get a product, they get something back in return. This is the beauty of choice. When given an opportunity, sometimes people make wonderfully charitable decisions. It's no wonder that Tech9's record label, Strange Music, is the largest independent record label in the world. That brings me to part 2. I said we're going to start with the big focus, and now we start to narrow it in. This is how to be a music producer in the digital era. This is a picture you can't see right now, but it's 2 gentlemen sitting in front of an old Mac computer, resembling what people think when they hear the digital era. They think it's just computers and things like that, but it's actually much more than that. It's much bigger. And as a producer, we have to think about what that means. What should we do? Music sales have declined. Resultantly, music producers earn fewer royalties from the sales. Now you start to get the attention of the music producers. They start to say, well, wait a minute. If we are selling less music, even though there's more money being made, doesn't that screw us over? There's an easy fix for that. You charge more money up front. Royalties are back-end payment, so just take it off the front end. If the revenues continue to grow, they continue to grow. It doesn't really matter where they come from. It doesn't really matter when you get them, as long as you do. All that happens is that revenue sources have changed. But that doesn't seem obvious. And the reason why is because royalties don't really matter. You don't really need to worry about royalties. As a music producer, I'm about to demonstrate that royalties are not really a very crucial thing for many of us. For example, 161 albums were certified gold or platinum in the year 2010. 161, that's not a lot. The industry standard producer royalty is 3% of wholesale price. So I'm going to do some math real quick. Let's say an album sells 500,000 copies. That means it's certified gold at $10 per, which is a wholesale price. That means the entire producer's share, 500,000 copies at $10 out of a $5 million pie times 3% is $150,000 generated to producers off of a gold album. Now, let's say that there were 15 songs on this album. That means each song generated $10,000 for its respective producer. In hip-hop, as many of us know, if you ever read the credits, a producer is lucky to get one placement on a gold album. The reason for that is rappers generally have a wide assortment of producers on their releases. Now I'm going to make a comparison here. The median salary for a high school teacher in the US was $54,270 in the year 2011. That means a producer would have to produce one song on 6 gold albums in the span of a year in order to match that total. So here we've got a high school teacher compared against not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 6 gold albums. Getting to the money. Start thinking like an entrepreneur, an economist, and a politician. For lack of creativity, I call this my EEP theory, EEP. The entrepreneur asks the question, what problem needs solving? Then the entrepreneur works on solving it. The creed of the entrepreneur is the more people you help, the more money you make. The economist analyzes human behavior given the scarcity of resources. An economist asks, how can I extract the most value out of my unique set of skills? And finally, the politician asks, who do I need to know to get things done? The politician shakes everyone's hand, smiles. The politician knows how to make deals happen. Getting to the money continued. Here are the normal ways, with these things in mind, that a music producer can generate business income. And I'm going to fly through some of these. I'm going to explain why they're really not that important. First, we can sell and license our beats to artists and labels over the internet. We know about that. We can sell and license our beats to local artists and labels. We know about that. We can provide mixing services. Not everyone does that. That's a good thing to do. We can provide record engineering services. We can sell studio time. We can license music to TV shows and movies. We can compose film scores. We can consult. We can get major album placements. And if all else fails, we can middleman deals and we can refer clients for a fee. But is the money worth the time? If you'd like to find out more about one of those things specifically, ask me in the question and answer segment that follows, or approach me afterwards, or message me on Facebook or something like that, and we can talk about it, because I've made money doing all those things. But I'm skimming over them because the truth is they're not sustainable in the long term. They require a lot of work, and you get very little reward for doing them comparatively. Even worse, they take away time that could be spent doing what you love in the studio. Once in a while, if you're patient, you'll get a big opportunity. You'll have a good year financially to offset all the bad ones that inevitably will proceed and follow. And that works fine if you're a young bachelor, you're a bachelorette, but not for someone trying to have a career. Not for someone who's trying to generate wealth. Worst of all, when you turn your love into a business, it tends to take all the fun out of it. Back to my EEP theory. An entrepreneur looks to help people, to find a need in the world and figure out a way to fill it. This means starting a business that finds a need and fills it in the music industry. For example, my brother and I have started a film production company called McGill Original Films. The inevitable facts set in on me that I was one producer of tens of thousands. I wasn't filling a need that was vacant. There was so many people competing for it that the value of our service has been diluted. However, when it came to video production, that's something that people were willing to pay for because the need was there. Now that's one example of what you can do. But this also might be as simple as recognizing a children's need to learn. As a high school teacher, you could easily earn as much as a producer that goes gold 6 times a year. How many producers achieve 6 gold placements per year? How many do that over the course of a career? Very few. How many high school teachers are there? Over 1 million. So, don't trick yourself into thinking that you are a revolutionary hip-hop mogul just because you sell beats. High school teachers are killing you. The economist looks for the best way to exploit his or her skills. Narrow your search to areas you are passionate about and that you have talents in. Understand opportunity cost. Let's say you have the talents necessary to be a lawyer, the median salary of which is about $86,000. But you choose to be a music producer, and charitably we're going to say you make 40 grand a year, although that is not true, but I'm just being charitable here. Your economic loss in any given year is $46,000. Amortize that over a 25-year career, and your economic loss is over $1 million. Is it worth it? A final bit on my EAP theory. The politician knows how to get shit done. Make deals, work with other people, study the art of charm and persuasion. There's a few books by Robert Greene that will more than do the trick. Just Google Robert Greene and you will find the resources you need. Some of his books include The 48 Laws of Power. Excellent book. The bottom line is that you love making music. So work smart so that you can create the time and you can create the space so that you can make music. Out of 24 hours in a day, spend 8 to 10 on your career. Spend 6 to 8 sleeping. The remaining 6 to 10 and your weekends are more than enough time to become a highly successful music producer. And that brings me to part 3. So I've set up the music business. Then I've set up how to approach being a producer in the music business. Well, how the hell do you become successful? Understand this. Don't buy the hype that your main income stream must come from being a music producer. That's foolishness. Go take a look at the SoundClick charts. As I said, there are tens of thousands of hip-hop moguls selling beats for scraps and driving themselves crazy in the process. You're much better off pursuing those areas that you enjoy that generate the highest income stream for you. Remember to think like an economist. Remember to understand the concept of opportunity cost. Remember to understand to fill a need, not try and fill in a hole that's already been filled by 10,000 other people. This will fund your pursuit of succeeding in the music business. Understand this also. The trick is to be patient. The trick is to stay ambitious. And most importantly, the trick is to master your talents. For the vast majority of people I've seen in this business, and I've even fallen victim to each 3 of these syndromes in different degrees, one of 3 things tends to happen. A, people become content with a middle-class income and they give up their dream out of comfort. B, people suffer from financial hardship from pursuing their dreams and they give up out of discouragement. Or C, people don't put in the work necessary to master the art of music production. Now, if you can avoid these 3 things, you have significantly increased your chances of succeeding in the music business. You can focus on making the music that you love. This will result in you creating the highest quality of music possible, which is absolutely essential if you think you're going to compete with the most talented producers in the world. You can reject offers and you can accept only the very best opportunities. In business, we call that leverage. You won't be wasting your talents on projects that you have to take in order to earn money. You've already got your income stream. And your income stream has a lower opportunity cost than being a producer ever will. So you can have the patience and you can invest the time necessary to master your craft. With that said, I'm going to conclude with 6 slides that talk about 6 key categories of the skills needed once you understand how to think as a producer to master your craft and become a successful producer, depending upon what your goal is. First, you need to understand mixing, recording, and equipment. That means you need to tap into your inner nerd a little bit. You need to be an expert on mixing. There's no question about that. You need to have a basic understanding of recording technique. You need to have a general knowledge of software and equipment, and you need to get excited about it. So, here's some of my recommendations. Number 1, Start watching a YouTube series that's free called Pensado's Place. Number 2, read Mike Sr.'s book, Mixing Secrets for the Small Studio. You will learn enormous amounts from these 2 things. I know I'm going through this fast, so if you want a recap of that, see me after the presentation, I'll gladly give it to you. Those two sources alone will be more than what you need to become an expert, have a basic understanding, and a general knowledge of the 3 items I just mentioned. There's Dave Pensado in his studio. I love that, man. Skills needed, slide 2. Master your DAW. A DAW is a digital audio workstation. Examples of DAWs include FL Studio, Pro Tools, Reason, Logic, Cubase, Acid Pro. We all know what they are. It will take hundreds of hours of practice to achieve harmony with your software choice. So, rely on YouTube tutorials. Go to message boards, befriend people who are experts with your DAW. Put in the effort to become great at it. Here's a picture of Ninth Wonder working on FL Studio in a studio on his laptop. He is an individual who has mastered his DAW. Master your craft. It takes many years, many years, to become great at making beats. The best way to learn is through imitation. So here's what I humbly recommend. Pick your 5 favorite beats of all time. You will know you have mastered your skills when you can create convincing imitations of those 5 beats from scratch. Until then, keep your beats to yourself. The best way to appeal to people is to carve out your own sound. It should go without saying that you need to be original and you need to be creative. But anyone who loves making music is already going to do those things, so I'm sorry that I even had to mention that to you, but I felt obligated. There's a picture of A-Rab Music, another phenomenal producer who is a YouTube sensation, who can do with an MPC what most drummers can't do with a drum set. He's worth looking up. Slide 4 of 6, skills needed. Practice recording with artists. Artists can be very difficult to interact with. Yeah, not you though, my man. That's Paradise back there. This does not apply to him. He's a tremendously talented artist. Seek out talented artists and work with them. Your job is to be their producer. Your goal is to make the best song possible. Resist the movie director temptation that comes over producers when they're in the studio. We've probably seen the TV show representation where the producer says, I just need you to do it with a little more emotion. And let me get you to pronounce this word a little clearer. And the 3rd S on your 4th line. No, save all that. Ultimately what happens is that barking orders at artists is annoying and it stifles creativity. The best way to guide a song is to create an environment in which the artist feels comfortable. See yourself as the coach. Your job is to challenge and to motivate your star player, and that's your artist. Then the real fun begins once all the vocals are recorded, everyone felt comfortable and did their job, and everyone else has gone home. Your job is to take the raw materials and to bring them to life. And I couldn't think of a more appropriate picture to demonstrate that than Mr. Quincy Jones and Mr. Michael Jackson, who surely was an eccentric artist in the studio. 5 of 6. Know how to promote yourself and know how to make contacts. The internet means you can do the majority of your work from home. You can sit on your computer and you can email your beats out all day. And guess what? The best producers tend to do that now. They're studio rats. But first, you have to make the contacts. Nothing beats face-to-face interaction. This means you're going to have to come out of your shell. You're going to have to travel to cities. You're going to have to actively seek out opportunities. This means you need to build as big of a network as possible. This means you need to befriend the people that you admire. Because after all, referrals are the 2nd best way to gain opportunities. You also need to establish a web presence. And there's not a great personal utility to that in terms of furthering your career. It's just fun to put out your own albums every once in a while, and it's good for your ego to find out that people like your music. Utilize YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and message boards for the distinct purpose of building relationships. That's different than stroking your ego or getting a couple thousand views and thinking that you've accomplished anything that's meaningful. You can also meet some great people online. Jay-Z, this is a trite, cliche quote, but goddamn it's true. Not a businessman, a business, man. That's how you gotta look at yourself, and that leads me into my final slide. Be prepared for the industry. Know how to track out your beats. Oh, I can't tell you how embarrassing it is when an excellent, talented producer doesn't know what it means to track out a beat. People have lost opportunities that could change their lives because they didn't know how to do that. Know basic music industry legalese. That means basic music contract law. Doesn't mean you gotta go to school and become a lawyer. It means you need to pick up a book, or it means you need to browse the internet once in a while. Know music industry terms, trends, and fads. That's essential if you want to make sure that you're ahead of the curve when it comes to carving out your sound. Set a specific goal and stick to it. I don't care what your goal is, but if you want to be successful in the music business, you have to start applying yourself towards that goal. If your goal is to produce on a platinum album, concentrate your efforts on that goal. If you follow the blueprint that I've laid out for you today, your chances of doing that have gone up enormously. Practice being an EAP. What does that mean? It means being an entrepreneur, an economist, and a politician. That doesn't come easy. You got to think about those things. You got to research them a little bit. This is important. Don't sign any contracts unless you're absolutely certain that you want to sign that contract. Take that from me. Beware that many people will try to sell you a dream. And there are a lot of dreams for sale in the music business. That's because people profiteer off of selling us dreams when we have a legitimate interest to come into the business, but we've been dissuaded by the industry based on the false paradigm that I illustrated in the first third of this speech. Finally, and most importantly, in my opinion, never forget why you started making music. And that might not be as easy to answer as you think. That is the end.